this piece of having the regular stuff to do, regular agenda is very therapeutic. That's all I gotta say. Are we ready or not? Hello?
Okay, we're live on YouTube.
We're live.
Ready to go?
Wait, girl.
All right, now we will call to order. Do we have an approval of the agenda? I don't see why not, but anybody object? Then we will consider that a motion approved. Are all of you in possession of the minutes of December?
Yep.
Yep. Was there anything on, was there?
I'd like to put a motion to approve the minutes. This is Gerald.
I see, I hear you.
Okay.
Anyone object? All opposed say, well, all approval, aye.
Aye.
Nobody disapproves of that, I'm assuming. Monthly reports of December 20 and January 21. I found nothing, but we did have a little issue with the new definitions, 743. And Robin and I will discuss that in a few minutes, okay? So we will just move on a minute here. I've got too much paper in front of me.
What's that?
I was thinking we didn't have a forum, but we did.
We do?
We do now, yeah.
Mhm.
Monthly reports. Anything that anyone just doesn't understand? Why do we have October? Where that came from. All right. Monthly reports. Anybody have anything they wish to point out?
Hello, Ronald.
Hello. Okay.
Well, hi.
Hi. Do I have to put my mask on?
Yeah. You might be dangerous to yourself.
All right.
You have anything to say on the three top items? Approval of the agenda, December 2020 minutes, monthly reports of January 2021 and December 2020. We're going to get to this in just a minute, but we have a little something to do on the urban forestry chapter 743, the definitions and things of that nature.
Carol,
But
this
we
is
will-
Crystal.
Yeah,
Take old business?
any
Can
old
I ask
business?
that Robin give an update on the monthly reports as his urban forestry supervisor report to the board?
Right,
There's a lot of information here. There's a lot of good work that we've been doing. I think it's important for him to highlight that for the board.
that's very true.
Okay, thank you. Starting off with the budget, Crystal and I worked on the budget, and we approved the budget, and that is gone over to our CFO, Craig Sherman,
Mhm.
which will be directed toward higher up later on. So,
Yeah,
monthly report, one of the items I wanted to amplify, bring your attention to was the LiDAR. Matt DeBona put that in there. He said he didn't necessarily need to give a report today, but he wanted to make sure you looked at it, and if you had anything to add or if you had questions, think about it. But he said something more focused should be coming out in May. So that's
which is this one?
yeah, it's it basically five or 6 points there: equitable distribution, mitigating heat island effects, and the air quality, hillside stability, and those items there. Some of the things, how we can address with canopy coverage, with better canopy coverage.
Hey, Robin, do you
As
mind
far
if I
as
interject?
sure, go ahead, Crystal.
So I'll just say, as far as timeline goes, the contractor has been working diligently. They are on task with this, with the urban tree canopy assessment. They should have all of the tree canopy for the entire county finalized by the end of June. So right now, in the past few months, they've been working within a 9 square mile pilot area to ensure that their model is tuned in. We've analyzed that data with a fine tooth comb, found areas where they missed trees, and they were able to modify their model to better identify those. In addition to that, part of this project is funded by MSD. We have a partnership with them to have the impervious surface completely redigitized for the entire Hamilton County area as well. This will be used to guide their potential for, I want to say, their fee for stormwater for impervious surface. So we'll find out more about that as we go forward. But I should just say that in addition to the tree canopy, impervious surface is another big piece that we are going over with a fine tooth comb, just to make sure that they are tracking every single piece of imperviousness throughout the county. And
Right.
at this point, throughout that 9 square meter area. So what Robin reported on as far as kind of our top priorities for canopy implementation, I would say, is the equitable distribution, the mitigation of heat island, mitigation of poor air quality. So that's identifying where our highest PM 2.5 areas
Right.
are. So again, that is in an effort to mitigate PM 2.5 because it's one of the highest causes of asthmatic rates in an urban area. Stormwater mitigation, hillside stability, forest connectivity. So this is basically identifying areas where we can plant to connect forests, because when forests are connected, they basically expound upon the benefits. In addition to that, we'll have a canopy change over time. So this is comparing our 2010 data to the 2020 canopy assessment to show where we have gained or lost canopy. And then the last piece is a potential for invasive species mapping. This is something that Hamilton County Parks is very interested in. Yes, Gerald.
So I thought that we could not compare our previous canopy collection and assessment because we were kind of having two different types of flyover with different parameters and very difficult to compare both of them.
So so obviously the technology has improved since 2010. So it won't be, obviously, if we had the same technology then that we have now, it'll be a 100% apples to apples. But this will give us basically a baseline analysis of what that change would be. So they are able to do a change analysis over time. And what they're doing is they're pulling our 2010 canopy data, which was orthophoto. And in addition to that, some of the data that had come out, I want to say it was 2011, that was statewide, and Matt can speak to this much better. He's the project manager on this. But they put together a compilation of data that was created around that same time in order to have the best comparison possible.
Okay, so it's not quite a real apple to apple, but it is a good assumption of change, no matter what.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any possible hope of getting more area to plant?
Absolutely. Yeah,
They
so
won't-
basically what will happen with this data, again, once we have the full land classification completed, then we will move into development of a prioritization plan for planting. And these parameters that I've highlighted here, the equitable distribution, heat island, stormwater, these are the parameters that we will use for prioritization of planting. So it'll be a hierarchy of priority, with the first being equitable distribution, the second being heat island, and then on down as that list is laid out. So what that will do is it will basically be a polygonized breakdown of the entire city to show us where we can plant in order to best mitigate stormwater, in order to best mitigate heat island, where we have inequities, so that, and the inequity piece is comparing
Yeah.
census data to Canopy distribution in order to show where we have, low income, minority, elderly populations in relation to what that canopy looks like.
Okay, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful.
And so with that being said, by the end of the year, that prioritization plan will be complete. The final project date for completion is January of 22. But come this summer, we will at least have a full canopy analysis.
By summer, have a full canopy analysis.
I have a
Yes,
question.
Yes, we know.
Is this also done in conjunction with Hamilton County?
Yes, sir. So the grant covered all of Hamilton County. Cincinnati.
What's the push we might have with the state of Ohio on all of our expressways when the county and the city are combined on something like this?
Right.
For all
I
that?
think with the onset of having the detailed analysis of PM 2.5 is basically going to highlight the areas where we have lost a lot of canopy adjacent to our expressways.
Yes.
I think this will open the door for us to partner with various health institutions for expanded grant opportunities, and to partner with ODOT on potential planting sites on their property along the expressways.
Hopefully.
That's the goal.
Sounds like a winner.
Yeah, sounds great. If we can, I hope I live long enough to see it.
At least part of it, the beginning.
Okay,
Yeah, so
Any
it's a big project. It's going along phenomenally. The data so far has been pretty mind-blowing, just seeing the LiDAR, like, because we got the highest quality LiDAR. That's what we spent the bulk of our funding on. So what that will allow us to do is in the future, as the city is getting new LiDAR data, we can we can spend a lot less money running the urban tree canopy assessment just using LiDAR.
ooh.
Yep.
Okay,
And so with that, I'll also add, Matt DeBona is giving a presentation to the park board on the 18th at our next park board meeting. So he'll be presenting the data that we have to date, the timeline for the project, and you'll be able to hear any of the questions that the park board may have in relation to this information.
Will we be able to use backyards in the next fall relief again?
Yeah, Paul, we started doing backyards last year.
Yeah, we're going to continue that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
can use backyards again.
Mhm.
Good deal.
Good deal.
Yeah, because the funding isn't coming from Duke, we have no stipulations that the trees need to be planted in the front yard. Is at least my understanding of that major change.
Yeah,
We have funding secured from MadTree and the foundation. We still have a gap that we're trying to meet, and the foundation is working on grant opportunities for that. So
So did you ever find out who put those trees in down around
yeah, downtown.
down by Sacred Heart, from Camp Washington? They lined the whole street with trees and stakes. Beautiful job.
yeah, I think Keep Cincinnati Beautiful was working with Matt Dickman on that project.
And they have water bags on each tree also.
Yes, sir.
Now, who will water those?
I'm not sure. Matt Dickman would know more. I'm not intimately familiar with that project. I know he's been overseeing it and kind of guiding it, both through the public tree work permit process and just in partnership with that organization. So it
Okay.
could be the homeowner. It's at this point, I do not believe it's our contractor.
There's no homeowners. It's on the highway side.
Oh, okay.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
sure,
No.
but
Playground is highway
that.
side.
Yeah, we'll check with Matt Dickman on that. Okay.
My goodness, I think I'm very happy about some of this. Aren't we all?
Anything else on that?
No, sir, that's the highlights.
Okay. And in other aspects of forestry, we are going through our contracts to renew and rebid contracts. The stump grinding contract has been delayed. Overall, the purchasing department is a little bit slow. Maybe probably because they're understaffed a little bit. And, but we're getting our emergency maintenance contract out. We're getting our PM removal contract out for renewal. And also our planting contract is going out for renewal as well. And the city's citywide contract for EM that all the other city departments use. So those are all going out. Those are all, 4 big contracts that are going to be going out to bid shortly.
Can I just make a note on that real quick, Robin?
Sure, go ahead, Crystal.
So our EM contract is very solid. We've had it pretty much relatively the same contract for 20 years. It works well within the parameters that we've identified. Our PM removal and PM pruning were just developed in the past couple of years. So we also feel pretty good about that. And then our planting contract has been relatively the same for at least the past 10 years or so. So I just want to say, if anyone on the park, or anyone on the forestry board would like to review these contracts, we can absolutely share them if you want to dive in a little deeper or offer any suggestions for improvement.
Yeah.
Reno, would you like to do that or not? Reno,
Hey, Reno, you're
I'll block myself out so you don't hear the dog bark or
okay.
all those other things. So I have to answer. Yeah, I could do something like that. But what's the problem? What are the problems with the problems we've had so much is when we make changes and you have to get it through the purchasing department. And that has been like pulling teeth at times.
Yeah. I think it's just there's some new people there, and it's just them getting up to speed, and I think they probably got a lot fewer people than were down there before.
So what you would be reviewing is specifically the scope of work, the specifications for the work, not necessarily all the legalese in between.
Right.
Obviously, that is well defined by purchasing, is guided by purchasing. We wouldn't be changing any of that. Really, it's just the specs.
When do
that's what we spend the bulk of our time on.
The office and do that, or do I get you email me those things? What are we going to do about it?
We can have Sheila share what we have so far. Again, like I said, the EM contract is pretty ready to go. You could, that one we're ready to get out. So if you want to review that one quickly, we will take any comments.
That we don't have to mess with.
The planting contract is one that I'm really interested in getting your feedback on. If there's any ideas that you have for ways to improve that based on what might be happening in the industry or things that you might have heard from other cities, that would be something that I'm interested in.
Okay.
That's the one that we're currently reviewing for draft.
We can email that over to you, Rennie. We're in the process of trying to finalize it probably in the next, certainly by the end of the month. We'd like to get it out.
Okay.
And then one of the other things we forgot to mention was that we're adding new contract language to reflect our new GIS-based work order tracking system. So even though we don't have it full implementation, we're letting the contractor know that they should anticipate having to include that at some point in the contract. Okay. One of the other items, forestry staffing. We spent January and February reviewing application and interviewing. And as of last week, we put an offer to Jacob Edwards, and he accepted. And if everything goes well, he should be starting Tuesday, March 23rd. He's a employee of Spring Grove Cemeteries, and he's just finished up his bachelor's degree in urban forestry from Oregon State.
oh my.
So he seems like a real good, positive guy. Should be a good fit for a lot of forestry work that we have for downtown, uptown, Cincinnati areas.
Yeah. So just to expand upon that, as you know, Robin was moved into the urban forestry supervisor position. We did an delete of the crew leader position that Robin had filled. We added an urban forestry specialist, and then Jacob will be filling that duty for the South District. So he is the head arborist at Spring Grove Cemetery.
Right. And he actually does does climbing, so that will be another plus there. So he had good experience, background, good education, and just a real good demeanor. So came across as very positive, and references were very positive as well. So
Another question about staffing.
yes.
Forestry Board. Paul, this Mark Baumbeck, who is he and where can I get in touch with him? I've called your number and you've got a 1 and a 2 and I hit 1 and then I'll hit a 2 and I haven't gotten any response.
He lives on Fairview Avenue. You know where St. Monica Church is? You drive directly diagonal up Fairview Avenue, right at the bend, the first bend up there is where he lives.
What does he do? Well, he would be a nursery person.
He used to work with the park department. I think he was in the flowers and so on. Then he went to school and became a landscape architect.
But he'd be filling in for the
So now he
community.
has his own business.
Okay.
It would be like what Eric Jepke did, but you should interview him first.
Oh, okay. So he's going to be filling in for the green space.
I can track him down. I couldn't track him down.
Yeah.
He will be the green space representative then, one of them,
Right, whatever Eric Jepke.
what Eric did.
Yes. But you should interview him.
And Robin, by
Yes,
Monday,
yes, Randy.
I'll have a letter for you. These community groups are starting to Zoom meetings now.
Yeah, I've attended a couple of them.
I was following the forum and that, and they just started their Zoom meetings. They hadn't been doing anything, and a lot of the communities had. So if we got that going, we can get a letter out to these guys.
Our community.
Local representation.
Okay,
Representation.
okay.
Roseland Community Council has all but,
All right.
We've been zooming right along.
I know, but Roseland Community Council has
So-
all but disappeared.
Well, do we have a contact for all the neighborhood groups?
The Planning Commission does.
Okay,
They were the ones that stated they have a contact person for every one of the community groups.
To see who it is for
We have to
Roseland.
talk to her about that and get a list from her.
all right.
I don't see her on here today. Is she?
She's on here.
Carolyn,
Oh,
right?
there we go, Carolyn. There we go.
Caroline,
Caroline, right there.
Caroline.
Yes, okay.
Do, 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 do.
She is.
We have to ask her.
Okay, good.
You're very
Alright.
quiet, Caroline, very quiet.
Sheila said she was sending an email requesting. Good.
So we'll
Good.
get a copy of all the community leaders' contact information, and we can share that with the board as well.
Good.
I'm here.
Good.
Okay,
Hi, hi.
I was muted.
good. Yo, we'll get with
Actually,
you.
it's the Department of Community and Economic Development that maintains that list of all the community groups.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Economic.
I believe
Community.
they have it on their website and they keep it up to date because it changes every 6 months to a year.
Okay. Good.
It'll give you the contact information. It'll give you when their meetings are each month.
Good.
Robin.
Sheila says thank you.
Okay.
Okay, you and I, Robin, did all kinds of things.
Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else for my report.
Here we go.
Project wise, the south side of Liberty Street project is done as far as planting goes, and we are concentrating for planting for spring of this year on the north side, and then that should wrap things up. We still have a couple spots where we got some development, but we'll worry about that as they get done. And
Robin, can I just make a note on that real quick?
Sure.
So this was a really cool project. If you go down there to check it out, you'll see that the tree wells there are 7 by 10 foot wide. They're huge. They're also
Yeah.
connected via soil cells. So this will be one of our first major projects that allow the root system of trees to be connected. So a great potential for research. Yes, Gerald.
Tell me, excuse me. Tell me again exactly where that is.
Liberty Street from
Oh,
Central Parkway east to Sycamore.
Okay.
So, is there anything planted in the median?
Yeah, Gerald, so we're currently working on, as you know, once becoming division manager, I now oversee green space as well. So we're working on a contract with 3CDC to have green space do the install and maintenance of both the medians and the tree wells themselves. Since the tree wells are so large, 3CDC
Yeah.
asked us to also plant those.
So, but what is planned for the median?
It's mostly low growing, kind of perennial shrubs.
Shrubbery?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think Robin expressed a deep desire not to have trees planted in the median because of the
Yeah.
number of trees he's lost along Liberty throughout the years.
Yeah, so because in the median, usually the medians are built on top of a compacted subbase,
Yeah.
and there is really not too much soil unless it is designed
Yeah.
for that
And-
purpose.
And that was the problem. That was the problem, Gerald. They were talking about maybe doing that, and the project was getting really tight, and they couldn't make any promises on the median. So that's why we didn't. There's
Yeah.
a good share of the reason why we didn't put trees there.
Yeah, so I don't know if you know, but David Mann has put a motion together that asks that prior to any median or any traffic calming landscaping new one, that the city comes up with a maintenance plan and make sure that the infrastructure is built properly with enough depth and with enough drainage and potentially, all of that. So
Great.
David
know.
Mann has,
I
David
would,
Mann, I can't see you, so I don't know you're talking.
Go ahead, Gerald.
no, what I'm saying is that that came after we received several complaints from neighborhoods saying, the city builds a bunch of stuff here and it's getting crazier and crazier because of traffic calming, which are necessary thing. But then the maintenance is not addressed and we cannot keep up with it. So that is the reason for the median. And I have to say, when I was director of public services, we identified like that 500 locations that were
Yep.
that we inherited without the funding to take care of them. So I'm glad that Liberty Islands are under a contract with 3CDC because that's really what needs to happen.
Yeah, they have a high expectation of maintenance, so they kind of stepped in. So
Good.
Gerald,
So
Yes, ma'am.
didn't we at one time have some arrangement made for that? I mean, back in the dark ages, about 10, 12 years ago, didn't we have some sort of an agreement with some community?
Well, that's kind of the problem, agreement with community only worked during when the people who made the agreement are still on the boards of community, and then they leave, and then they realize that they probably were too optimistic about taking care of some of that. We cannot really, I think, despite all the big hopes that volunteers can do a lot of things the city decide no longer to do, volunteers cannot maintain medians. It's a dangerous work no matter what.
Yes,
Plus,
it is.
when the medians are built in such a way that the soil is really poor, there's not enough drainage, and then you have all the salt from the winter operation
Oh, yes.
spilling over. It ends up by being a wheat patch that nobody wants to see.
Sure.
And
Which
so
brings-
I'm very pleased that the forestry staff insisted that on the side of Liberty, the trees be planted, but with a much larger planting medium and some good cells. So it's the right direction.
Yeah, and I'll just say, with that project, I think it's really given us the opportunity to continue this conversation for further developments that are happening, especially in downtown.
I was, yeah.
So it was the first major project that I think DOTE got involved in as far as having some level of ownership and implementation on, as well as just having 3CDC at the table, who is, actively developing streetscapes throughout the OTR and downtown neighborhoods. So with that, the Fountain Place streetscape, so I think it's Fifth and Vine, will also have soil cells. The Court Street development that's going in will also have soil cells. So it's effectively allowing us to move away from these small 4x4, 4x6 foot
Right.
tree wells, or to still have that size tree well, but to have the soil volume beneath to actually sustain the life of that tree. So
Yeah. I'd like to be on record to congratulate the forestry staff, because that's a major a major development and a major progress made for the so that we don't have to replace trees every couple of years, like on my street.
Right.
Not on my street, in front of my house.
Oh, I was just gonna say, we're back to that on Reason.
We are back. Yeah. No, it's kind of a joke, but it is a major achievement. Thank you.
thank you. It's something
With-
we hope to continue forward on. And it's something that, I found, and this is what I've communicated to the foresters, because the foresters generally oversee the development throughout the rest of the community as well, whenever it comes to tree installation. But it's been through an excellent partnership with DOTE and really kind of communicating and develop those specifications and partnership, and just having the open-mindedness to try something new. So it's not just us, it's definitely a partnership. It takes all of us. And actually the leadership of our city, having the mayor and these development organizations like 3CDC on board to advocate for it, I think is the only way that it truly went through. So I hope to see it expand citywide, and I hope to see it built into some sort of specification as far as streetscape standards go, moving down the block here.
Yeah, but I'd like to add that it has never been a question of bad will from anybody. It was a question of not really owning the skills. It's not even that, but kind of focus on that specifically. So by focusing and creating some awareness, I think everybody in the city is ready to play, as long as you give them the rules.
Yeah,
So
it's exciting.
that's all.
We hope so. Which brings up the subject of what I laughingly call my 4th Street trees. How are they doing? Because they were, I had quite a conversation with Mr. Heimlich's son regarding the 4th Street trees. And I think we put those in tree wells along there for a while. I guess not. Well, I know we do, because I check on them every now and then, but I hope they're not having as much of a problem with salt and sand and all that trouble. Okay, I'll go check on them myself.
So Robin, I'll add the one piece that you did not mention was the assessment, the
Yep.
2022 assessment.
Oh, I forgot to mention that.
No.
Go ahead, go ahead, Crystal.
So in lightning speed, compared to years past, from my understanding, we are now to the determination to proceed and levy portion of the assessment. We had the first determination of need approved in January. We put out the public announcement, as well as sent out all the 250 letters for all those individuals paying greater than $250. Put those out in the beginning of February. We found a lot of, I'd say, mistakes in our data, not a lot, but definitely some. It highlighted some areas where we were assessing for street parcels that were not adequately categorized through the auditor. So some difference between a 508 or a 507. Angie and Greg probably know better than I as far as what those numbers mean. But we were able to take on those challenges as they were presented to us, correct it immediately, and then move forward. There were a
Yeah.
few parcels that were incorrectly assessed last year. And we were able to define the process in partnership with the auditor's office for how to fix those issues without taking it to council for an ordinance.
Good.
So that really allowed us to clean up a lot of historic misses as well. So there's a lot of parcels with the Ohio Department of Transportation that have been assessed for years. So it allowed us to clean those up as well.
Yeah.
So effectively, by the assessment should be going to council in the next couple of weeks here, and we should have a full approval for levy by the end of the month. That's the goal.
Next week it's going before council. Budget and finance and council next week. So.
Do we anticipate any objection?
I don't think so, Robin. I've not seen that on the agenda of the of Monday's budget and finance.
Okay, I'll need to talk to Law again on that, so need to check that, so.
It
was
goes to
good.
council. I think it goes to council for the first reading on Wednesday, and then it will go to budget and finance. I think it's the
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay,
29th.
good, all right, then that's we're squared, okay. And the only other thing is, where we do have any corrections, we're gonna be sending out reimbursement checks, and then with each successive year, we anticipate much fewer needs for actual corrections. And then as far as when we used to go down to the auditor's office every summer and make the corrections for parcel cut-ups and consolidations, the system that Matt DeBona put in, it will auto-correct. So it'll automatically do that for us, and we won't need to do that. So that is going to be a real time saver for all of us.
Wow, it's as if we were in the 21st century.
Exactly.
We are. Thank you, GIS.
We've gone from paper plat maps to the computer. So, yep.
Wow.
This isn't like what we did in 2019, is it?
Nope.
That's the update I've got for. Unless anyone has got anything else?
I have one other thing.
Go ahead.
Sorry to be on a soapbox, but at the same time, so the last meeting we brought to your attention that we had an excess of roughly $960,000 in Fund 792. What we've been able to do with that funding is we have done 2 printing cycles this year. And then moving forward, we will be replacing our chipper truck and chipper. We'll be adding a truck for our new Forester next year as well. And then we will have 1.5 pruning cycles per year moving forward in order to spend those funds down.
And as opposed to 1 pruning cycle?
Correct.
Until we get caught up, which should be within the next 2 years.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions about that? Okay. Goodness sakes, lady, you've been busy. Ordinance 743. Robin, didn't you and I work on?
The code rewrite.
Yeah.
So where do we stand on that? We just we've got the revisions. We're in your packet.
They're in red.
Yep, the rubrics, and then, so I guess we planned on voting for that today.
So just to give a recap, in our January meeting, Cheryl pointed out that we didn't have all of the necessary corrections that we had agreed upon in one document. Since then, we had Sheila go through and make one person making all the edits so that we didn't have all this colors everywhere and comments. So what we have here is the cleanest draft to date.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we would like to do today is just do a quick review of the ordinance as we've seen and discuss any edits that we might have prior to this going to the director for first review.
Glasses going somewhere. Does anybody see them? They're bluish.
So any questions, comments, or concerns with regard to the ordinance?
Carol, you okay with it? Did you have comments?
No, I don't. You and I worked on. You all right?
Yep, good. I have no problem with it at all. I thought it was all very clear to me.
Gerald has his hand raised.
Yeah, I had just one point of clarification. What is the general timeline to have that approved? What are we trying to achieve here?
Well, I think we outlined it after the meeting, or at the meeting, and once Forestry Board approves it, it goes to the director for her approval.
Right.
And then it goes, then we get a request for legal services. And then after that goes to the park board, and then once and if park board approves it, goes to council.
Robin and I worked on some of this language the other day. And under 743IU1, item B, it's not 11, it's 9. Shall be composed of 9, shall be composed of 11 members. There's a peculiar little,
No, that should be on there. Okay.
yeah, but there was a word in front of it that you and I removed because it was incorrect.
743.
B. It's at the top of page something, and it.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
There was a,
No, it's correct. Shall be composed of 11 members.
correct, but it had 9-11.
No, it's the 9 is crossed out.
Yeah, and we had eight, shall be residents of the city. And then we discussed having city planning, city engineer, 6 times, and that would be item 3. What else did we work with?
I think your issue was Carol, was the term bi-monthly.
Yeah, I think we take that into 6 times per annum. Bi-monthly can mean either 2 or it can be a half. So, and so everybody might take it the way it's supposed to be, but I don't want to argue over it. So,
Discussion?
and then work on city property, we took out except on public street trees. Well, just street trees is enough. We removed the word public. And then some little error, typographical error. There's a little something or other in before the word director of parks. I don't know what that little thing is.
Well, those are the corrections. That's what's getting crossed out. Everything, if it's just director, I guess everything, what Carol wanted was to make sure the director was uppercase.
Yep. What did we put in, Robin, on the next page where we put street opening permit? Was that just to make it more understandable?
I think that was correct. Yeah.
I guess that's just what it was, actually. And down under section 743.15 emergencies, director may
That's correct.
waive.
That was correct too.
Correct.
Yeah, that was correct. All right.
Oh, on did we take out required, the word at 743-25? Did we take out the word pruning or just put required maintenance?
That's the editor there, so you'll yes.
Required pruning maintenance?
No, required maintenance.
Okay, and take out the word, the next sentence, the same thing, prune, maintain. And the view, I don't know what that little squiggle is after in the second line, the view of oncoming traffic, just it's the view of oncoming traffic. I think that was a typographical error. And the next paragraph, we took out the word public street tree because the street tree is a public tree, isn't it?
Well, that is crossed out there, Carol. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I think that's all that was there anything the next page, Robin, you and I? No, oh, here again. Should be ordered correction made correction not be made within the designated time frame. Take out the 14 days.
Yeah, that's in there.
Yeah.
That brings us to the end. So I think the only thing we had there was Carol's change from bi-monthly to 6 times per year.
Take out the word 14 days of this.
Is there a motion?
Well, so move.
Anyone
I'll second it.
Second it.
in discussion to follow? Okay, we declare it. I'm assuming we vote on this passed. Nobody object? We will declare it passed. Okay. Final bylaws copy. Done, isn't it?
We approved it at the December meeting.
Yep.
I don't believe anyone signed it.
Ah,
So,
Hey, Rob, and I wanted to point out on the bylaws too, it has Don Genling's name on it, who is retiring soon, which is why
Yeah.
Greg Long's here
we
today.
noticed that too. So we were wondering whether we should put Greg's name in there for him. Yeah. Okay.
I'll get that changed.
And we can have Carol and Paul sign that while they're here, and then I guess whoever's got an electronic signature, we can either send it to you, or you can send us the signature, so however that works.
is there
I did
anyone
have
who-
a question. I had a question. So with regards to the chair and vice chair of the board, there is nothing determining how those positions are filled,
Well,
how they're elected. And I
originally,
just wanted to get the board's take on that. How long those positions should, like, what is the term of those positions and how are those positions elected?
they originally were 6, 2 terms of 3, and then it went to 2 terms of 4, 8. And the situation I found myself in would take an hour to discuss, but it had all kinds of sociological and never mind. It was a complete difficulty with terms of persons, the director of the parks resigning, and others got into a terrific argument with other parts of staff which were more important or more in positions of authority. And I mean, it's a soap opera. And if you ever
Yeah,
want to.
so I know that in my experience with other bylaws, if there are officer positions, then it's generally defined how those positions are, like what the term of that position is as well. So I wanted to get the board's take on those 2 specific positions, since those are the only officer positions that we have.
Whether it's simple majority, when is it voted for, how long the term, those type of things.
Well, I think
Okay.
I would agree with Courtney that we cannot really have bylaws or rules without that major explanation.
It got to be where, and that would be fine with me, but it got to be where it was a soap opera. I'm not kidding. I don't plan to go into it, and I don't plan to say what, but I'll tell you, if anybody remembers Johnny Ford, he was the sacrificial lamb in that. We don't need to put that in the minutes.
So I
Sheila.
I definitely don't want to focus on, the challenges. I understand that challenges have taken place in the past, and there
Yes,
may be hesitation for that, but
we
I
need
think
to move
moving
forward.
forward, we need to have the board defined in a manner that is most conducive to operations.
Right.
So
I agree.
do you want some text?
Yes, sir.
So I'm proposing that the president and vice president are elected for a 2-year term. That the year when the president is elected is different than the year when the vice president is elected. But
Good idea.
every 2 years so that we have a little bit of continuity there.
We did have,
Except when the vice president becomes a president, then it becomes a problem. But and then that there is a limit of 2 terms. And if somebody doesn't agree with me, they can change whatever. But at least we have the beginning of a framework.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
Right.
that motion also.
are there,
Further discussion? Good.
Harold, can I ask that you type up kind of what your vision for that section would be and where it would fall within the bylaws themselves?
Okay, send it to you today.
Thank you, sir.
I think that's a very good idea, Gerald. I really do. I don't know if you go back far enough with the city to remember some of the situations that developed with Jack Wilson.
Well, I
That's-
go back in the city when I had hair, so I think it's
I remember that. All righty. We don't need to slog through that quagmire. We really don't, but I've been very happy here doing this. And are you suggesting that I should leave in 2 years or 1 year? Or what are we saying here?
what I'm saying is that I am not married to the language I proposed, but once it is adopted, then rules
Correct.
are changing, and we can have a chair for 2 years and then 2 terms, and so that's the way it starts. But they should have at least an election of the board. It cannot be a de facto president or vice president.
I agree.
It works only when good people are in place, and we don't have rules for the good people. We have rules to make sure that things are at perpetuity correct.
I agree.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for offering your guidance, Gerald. If you could send that to Sheila, she's been managing the draft. And so with that addition, I would like to take the bylaws to our law department as well, just to get a quick review to make sure that we're in line with other boards throughout the city.
Okay.
And then again, I think it's important to have the director and park board review these as well. So my intention
Okay.
would be to have the bylaws and the ordinance all involved in the same meeting so that we can have a concise conversation with our park board.
Sure.
And then from there, kind of getting them into place.
So we don't need a motion for that.
No,
We're setting it up.
that's just procedure.
Well, you're gonna be
We'll write it up. We'll put it in our bylaws, and then it'll be presented. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I think that's procedural. I agree. I don't know that we need to proceed on that.
So is the supervisor of urban forestry, which is now Robin,
Yeah.
the secretary of the board?
Well, he's doing it. No, Sheila's right over there.
No, I mean, the secretary is not somebody who is, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a like the director of parks is a secretary to the park board.
No.
Even though she delegates the task to an administrative technician.
It is not about writing stuff. It is a position.
it's a position, right?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, it is.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that's the case, then I think it should follow the same line as the way that the park board is ran. So I would imagine that would mean that the urban forestry supervisor would fall into that secretary role. That should probably be noted as well.
And whatever duties are associated with that.
Yeah, and in general, the duties associated with the chair and vice chair should also be defined.
Well, I think they're fairly,
Okay.
Okay, so we'll table it, I guess, huh?
Yes,
All right.
Well, I would say with these edits, we will be taking this to law next. And hopefully for a quick review.
okay.
Do we have provision to accept communication in between board meeting with vote from the board members so that we don't have, or it doesn't work? I'm thinking we may not want to wait for another board meeting to have that, but maybe we cannot not wait.
Communication?
It's been approved already. Can you just approve it with these additional edits? How does that work?
Well, that's a question. I am unsure if you need another public meeting to ratify the final language that is not written right now.
In other words, not waiting until April 8th. Is that what you're saying? Or waiting?
That's my question. Yeah.
Here's a parliamentarian.
Well,
Well,
sorry.
I have several books of Robert's rules at home, but I don't know.
Is that a de facto vote? Is that the?
Yeah, it might
language?
be. Yeah.
So are we, is Robin correct in saying we just approved it now and the language will be finalized and that's just an administrative follow-up that we need to do?
Mhm.
But the language is agreed that the president and vice president will be elected for 2 years up to 2 renewal, and that's what we do.
Did we
Correct?
decide 2 3-year terms or 2 4-year terms? 2 3-year terms is my understanding,
2-year terms is what Gerald mentioned.
rather than 3.
2 2-year terms?
That's what I was proposing. That is based also on the fact that city council is also elected for 2 years. It's a little consistency with the city, some of the city regulations, I guess. I mean, but
Okay.
it doesn't have to be. It's whatever.
I think it's a good idea to be 2-year terms because we're on a 4-year term as we join the forestry board. So 2 years.
However, we don't want,
And when do we start the election? Do we already have our chairman and vice chairman? Or when we get these minutes approved, approved, do we want to go ahead and have an election?
I would think so.
Okay, I agree.
Okay, let me do some language, send it to staff, and staff can decide to send it to the rest of the board. I believe I cannot send it to the board, me personally, I mean to the forestry board, because it has to do with the sunshine law.
Right.
I can
Robin
communicate.
can send it to the board.
Yeah, I cannot communicate with the board. I need to communicate to staff.
Correct. That's right.
That sounds good. So once we have that language, we'll get everything updated on our end. We'll get it out to the board with the other items that we also mentioned today that we would get to you. And if you have any objections, just let us know. We will proceed to do a request for legal services to review the bylaws. They will be back in front of you again. I would say we will make a point to have this discussion again on the 8th if there's any other, if anything develops from there. And then once everything is finalized, there will be a signatory process. So.
Can we stop by your office and into the conference room, sign the back of the bylaws?
You would be fine to do that, but we wouldn't need to do that just yet.
I understand that, yes.
Yes, sir.
Sounds good, Rennie.
I'm assuming we will work through all these changes and difficulties. Does anyone have anything further to offer? Ready?
Nope, I'm fine.
Caroline?
No, she's still there.
No.
She's here.
Oh, okay. Where are the rest of our city employees?
We're here.
We're here.
Okay. Anyone else? You?
Good.
If there's no objections, we can take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that
Wait,
motion.
what about
Yeah.
you want to talk about your board members?
We want to talk about the board members, I thought, but
I'll second it.
Just on an urban forestry meeting.
wait a minute.
Wait.
I thought,
Go ahead, Paul.
I thought I sent you one with her signature. Can you check? Because I couldn't find it. in
Caroline,
the-
you're not on.
Oh, sorry.
Paul?
Okay, you have.
Paul has
somebody.
something to offer.
You need another person on the board, correct? Take Eric Deputy's place?
Yes.
Yeah, and I suggest that Mark Bombaugh, who is a landscape architect like Eric was, and I would like him, if you would interview him, at least interview him.
Okay,
How do we want to put
Paul,
that? Do you want to put that motion?
Paul, I was given the job to call him. I'll track him down.
Okay.
Reno, are you saying that you will contact him?
Yeah, I tried to before, but I never had a phone number or anything, and I couldn't track him down. I haven't had this job since December.
I called him. I think, I don't know if I got his number anymore.
Well, let's do interview him.
It's a cell phone. It's 2817 of the last four numbers. I can't remember the first
All right.
three.
Let's do interview this man and see if he would be,
Yeah, you should interview him.
yes.
Robin, have you got a number for him?
Any decision.
I called him back I think I called him one time. I don't know if I still have his number. So you got his number, Paul? I'll give him a call.
I'll try to track him down.
All right.
Yeah, he's easy to get a hold of. He carries that cell phone with him. He only has the cell phone.
Do you have his number?
I know it ends in 2817, but I can't remember the first three digits.
You got it at home though?
Yeah.
Paul says he's got it at home. He'll get it to us.
But
Good. Give it
before
to
you make
Robin
any-
and I'll get it from him.
I want you guys to interview him before you make any decision.
Well, and just know that in order to be appointed to the board, that comes from the city manager's office. So once you guys make contact, if this is the person that we want to recommend to the city manager, those have been going through the park board to the city manager's office for appointment.
Does anyone else have any possible replacement people? Any other name?
I do not. I know Mary had sent a request to the city manager, letting her know that we had a vacancy and we did not hear anything back. So,
Okay,
Yeah, it's nice to have multiple interviews to see different people.
anything further, Robin?
Anything else?
I don't see anything
We-
more.
we could always
Okay,
put out a request too, using our business services team to let them know that we have a vacancy. We could put out a request through social media, if you guys were interested in having a full list of candidates for interview. We have not tried that.
What Mark Bambaugh does in our community, whenever we have cleanups in the park, plant trees in the park, he always ramrods. He seems to be very efficient at that. He sets it up, assigns people.
Mhm.
That's what he does in our community. Plus, he is a landscape architect.
Okay.
He worked in the park board prior to that with the flowers and so on.
Oh, yeah.
Then he went and became an architect, and he has his own business.
Well, the only issue I have, it's an issue because I like Mark, is a very good guy, very dedicated to his profession. All of that is good, but we are not really doing any progress in increasing the diversity of our board. So that's something that in the city that is a very diverse city, we need to make an effort to have a board that reflects that diversity. But I have nobody to suggest, so.
I think
I
we need
think
to,
it's something we can work on. I think getting the word out through business services will help too. I have contacted Groundwork Ohio River Valley. they're well connected throughout the community as well. So I can follow up with them to see if they have any suggestions. I think it would be good for us to have sort of an interview panel if we had more than one candidate lined up. That would be phenomenal.
We've done that in the past, true.
I agree with that.
Okay.
We've done that in the
Well,
past.
Between now and the next meeting, I will work with Robin and our business services team to start getting the word out, draft that language for what the expectations of the position are, and we'll go from there.
Will that be for this position or those in the future? Because I think.
This position,
Yeah. Anyone have a feeling about that?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Anything further? I think, to use an old-fashioned term, we've covered the waterfront. So then, as far as I can see, our next meeting will be Thursday, April 8th. We need to discuss at that time a little bit about if there is or is not Arbor Day, and if there is or is not a planting in a school. We don't even know what schools are open right now, or partially open, or won't be open. So I think we need to discuss how we're going to do this, in what manner, and I don't know. We used to plant a tree in some school, and we used to give away trees to children. And we would always have one of the classes participate. One time we had kindergartners, we had to get a wee tiny little shovel. So we will be needing to discuss those items too, because they do involve community people, and I think we need as much as possible to involve community people.
absolutely. So I will just make mention that we are working, this is our 40th anniversary for Tree City USA. So we're
Yes.
currently working with our business service team to bring light to that. And our forestry team is meeting with business services. They met this week. They'll be meeting again next week to kind of try to get a plan together for what events we might be having. So if you guys have any suggestions that you would like to see, please just forward those on to Robin and myself. Go ahead, Gerald.
Yeah, we need to plant 40 trees for 40th anniversary.
40 trees?
In 40 neighborhoods.
I'm into that.
Yeah. I mean, that's easy enough.
Can we do that? Robin?
Robin can make that happen.
We can get the trees, yeah.
I was gonna say,
On the fall relief, will the same outfit that ramrodded this past year do it again this following year?
Matt Tree?
That tree? Or who's gonna be pushing it?
Matt Tree's still committed, correct? For
Yes,
for
sir.
fall? Good.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay.
So Gerald, I
Okay.
really like that idea. I think that's definitely something that we can work on. If you guys are willing to help, maybe make those community connections or identify it, we can help just maybe come together to determine what that'll look like overall. I think that's a
Yep.
great project for the board. Another item that I want you all to think about between now and the April meeting are trying to get your goals together as a board for kind of what you want to do this year. If there's any major projects or anything you would like to see happen. I feel like, again, I've said this before, rather than us just reporting out on the things that we're doing, if the board has any instinctual, projects that you want to take on or things of that nature, I think it would be good to have those mentioned at the April meeting as well.
How many trees will there be this year?
1,700.
1,700 trees available for relief.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, will you have to go through Mad Tree to get a tree?
Yeah,
Our giveaway
Yeah.
will be at Mad Tree again this year.
But
at their location or down at where we are today.
if you don't connect with Mad Tree, how do you get a tree?
Yeah.
It'll be just like it has been in the past. You register for the trees through the park board. And then the
Will there
the giveaway will be at the brewery.
Will there be a public announcement so it's well known throughout the city?
Yes, sir.
That
That'll be
was a
coming in
problem.
August.
That was a problem last year. You only got a weekend to,
Right,
We
the
can-
trees were gone.
And this brewery is located exactly where?
In Oakley off of Madison.
Oh, I know where that is, yeah.
And they can be planted in backyards again,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Good.
But the whole city should be notified, just not one outfit like Mad Tree.
no, it's, Mad Tree is, we're cooperating with Mad Tree, but the notification went out in public, but because we were, we relaxed where we could put them, a lot more people sent in requests. It just went out to different people too, and we got a lot of requests. I think it went out on a Saturday or Sunday, and by early Monday, everything was spoken for.
Yeah, that's why connection with different communities, where you can give communities the same information that Mad Tree has, so that they can also organize
Okay.
tree planting.
Yeah, Paul, if you want to work with our team on that specifically, we're happy to make it function however we see fit. I think your advice sounds sound. So
Yeah,
I
the
think
more people know about it, we cover
we'll
the
be
whole
diving-
city.
yeah, we'll be diving into planning a little more here after we get through Arbor Day. So it'll basically start by July for what that outreach will look like.
Okay. My
All right, well, if
goodness.
there's nothing else, I have to hop on to my next call, and it's
Bye-bye.
been a pleasure seeing you all.
Thank you,
See
Crystal.
you
Till
next
next month.
time.
You also, thank you.
All right.
Thank you for your
Bye-bye,
time.
Caroline.
Have a great day.
Reno? He's gone.
No, he's here. Reno's here.
Okay,
We got a motion.
we need a motion to adjourn.
We have one and it's been seconded.
I thought we did. Anyone? Okay, then, we will move forward on all of these various,
Paul made the motion and Reno
Reno
seconded.
seconded it.
Good.
All right, we
Very
stand
good.
adjourned.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Have a good day.
Thanks. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.